Praise Yahweh. We're going to be celebrating part 2 of Hanukkah. So we're going to be reading chapter 3, chapter 4, and we'll see from there. So the main thing, we celebrate Hanukkah because it was a day that the people of Yahweh were saved from the pagan. And if they were not saved, we would have never received the word, and we would have never had a Messiah. Even the Messiah was conceived on Hanukkah, and it was born during September, the last week of September, or the first week of October. So this is very important for us, and we want to make sure we give glory to Yahweh and Yeshua. Okay? And I got too many things on. All right. Let's turn to read. We're going to go to 3. 3 has how many verses?
60.
60? Okay. All right.
30 and 30. Okay. We read the word.
We read the word.
Read the word. In the name of the Father, Yahweh.
In the name of the Father, Yahweh.
In the name of your Son, Yeshua.
In the name of your Son, Yeshua.
In the name of your Holy Spirit, holiness.
In the name of your Holy Spirit, holiness.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
First Maccabees, chapter 3. Judas and his early victories. Then his son Judas, who was called Maccabeus, took his place. All his brothers and all who had joined his father supported him, and they gladly carried on Israel's war. He spread abroad the glory of his people and put on his breastplate like a giant. He armed himself with weapons of war. He fought battles and protected the camp with his sword. In his deeds, he was like a lion, like a young lion roaring for prey. He pursued the lawless, hunting them out, and those who troubled his people he destroyed by fire. The lawless were cowed by fear of him, and all evildoers were dismayed. By his hand deliverance was happily achieved, and he afflicted many kings. He gave joy to Jacob by his deeds, and his memory is blessed forever. He went about the cities of Judah, destroying the renegades there. He turned away wrath from Israel. Was renowned to the ends of the earth, and gathered together those who were perishing. Then Apollonius gathered together the Gentiles along with a large army from Samaria to fight against Israel. When Judas learned of it, he went out to meet him and struck and killed him, and many fell wounded, and the rest fled. They took their spoils, and Judas took the sword of Apollonius and fought with it the rest of his life. But Seron, commander of the Syrian army, heard that Judas had mustered an assembly of faith men ready for war. And so he said, I will make a name for myself and win honor in the kingdom. I will wage war against Judas, his followers, who have despised the king's command. Then again, a large company of renegades advanced with him to help him take revenge on the Israelites. He reached the ascent of Beth Horon. Judas went to meet with him with a few men. And when they saw the army coming against them, they said to Judas, how can we, few as we are, fight such a strong host as this? Besides, we are weak, since we have not eaten today. But Judas said, many are easily hemmed in by a few. In the sight of heaven, there is no difference.
Inside of Yahweh.
Inside of Yahweh, there is no difference between deliverance by many or by few. For victory in war does not depend upon the size of the army, but on strength that comes from Yahweh. Exactly. With great presumption and lawlessness, they come against us to destroy us, and our wives and our children, and to despoil us. We are fighting for our lives and our laws. He will crush them before us, so do not fear them. When he finished speaking, he rushed suddenly upon Seron and his army, who were crushed before him. He pursued Seron down the descent of Beth Horon into the plain. About 800 of their men fell, and the rest fled to the land of the Philistines. Then Judas and his brothers began to be feared, and dread fell upon the Gentiles about them. His name reached the king, and the Gentiles talked about the battles of Judas. The king's strategy. When King Antiochus heard these reports, he was filled with rage, so he ordered that all the forces of his kingdom be gathered, a strong army, and he opened his treasury, gave his soldiers a year's pay, and commanded them to be prepared for anything. But then he saw that this exhausted the money in his treasury. Moreover, the tribute from the province was small because of the decision and the distress he had brought upon the land by abolishing the laws which had been in effect from of old. He feared that, as had happened once or twice, he would not have enough for his expenses and for the gifts that he was accustomed to give with a lavish hand, more so than all previous kings. 31 million.
Really?
Mhm.
31 says, greatly perplexed.
A little louder.
He decided to go to Persia and levy tribute on those provinces, and so raise a large sum of money. He left Lysias, a noble of royal descent, in charge of the king's affairs from the Euphrates River to the frontier of Egypt, and commissioned him to take care of his son Antiochus until his return. He entrusted to him half of his forces and the elephants, and gave him instructions concerning everything he wanted done. As for the inhabitants of Judea and Jerusalem, Lysias said to send an army against them to crush and destroy the power of Israel and the remnant of Jerusalem, and efface their memory from the place. He was to settle foreigners in all their territories and distribute their land by lot. The king took the remaining half of the army, and set out from Antioch, his capital. In the year 147, he crossed the the Euphrates River and went through the provinces beyond. Preparations for battle. Lysias chose Ptolemy, son of Dorymenes, and Nicanor, and Gorgias, powerful men among the king's phrases.
Friends.
Friends. And with them he sent 40,000 foot soldiers and 7,000 cavalry to invade and ravage the land of Judah according to the king's orders, setting out with their whole force. Wow. They came and pitched their camp near Emmaus in the plain. When the merchants of the region heard of their prowess, they came to the camp, bringing a huge sum of silver and gold along with fetters, to buy the Israelites as slaves. A force from Edom and from Philistia joined with them. Judas and his brothers saw that evils had multiplied, and that armies were encamped within their territory. They learned of the orders which the king had given to destroy and utterly wipe out the people. So they said to one another, "Let us raise our people from the ruin and fight. Fight for them and for our sanctuary." The assembly gathered together to prepare for battle and to pray and ask for the mercy and compassion. Jerusalem was uninhabited like a wilderness. Not one of their children came in or went out. The sanctuary was trampled on, and foreigners were in their citadel. It was a habitation for Gentiles. Joy had disappeared from Jacob, and the flute and the harp were silent. Thus they assembled and went to Mizpah near Jerusalem.
Isn't that for Mizpah?
No.
Mizpah.
Jerusalem is called Mizpah.
Yeah, that's the name of it.
Yeah. Because formerly at Mizpah there was a place of prayer for Israel. That day they fasted and wore sackcloth. They sprinkled ashes on their heads and tore their garments. They enrolled the scroll of the law to learn about the things for which the Gentiles consulted the images of their idols. They brought with them the priestly garments, the first fruits, and the tithes. And they brought forward the Nazarites who had completed the time of their vows. And they cried aloud to heaven, "And what shall we do with these? And where shall we take them? For your sanctuary has been trampled on and profaned, and your priests are in mourning and humbled. Now the Gentiles are gathered together against us to destroy you. You know what they plot against us. How shall we be able to resist them unless you help us?" Then they blew the trumpets and cried out loudly. After this, Judah's appointed officers for the people, over thousands and hundreds, or fifties and over tens. He proclaimed that those who were building houses or were just married or were planting vineyards, and those who were afraid could even return home according to the law. Then the army moved off, and they camped to the south of Emmaus. Judah said, "Arm yourself and and be brave in the morning. Be ready to fight these Gentiles who have assembled against us to destroy us and our sanctuary. It is better for us to die in battle than to wish to witness the evils befalling our nations and our sanctuary. Whatever it is, we willed in heaven and will be
In Yahweh.
in Yahweh. Done. What?
Yahweh. What verse are you at?
I'm at 60 already.
Yeah,
She
but
finished.
Whatever it will is in Yahweh will be done.
Yahweh will be done. Okay. All right. What did you guys get from this right here? What are you guys getting from this story?
Basically, like Yahweh, like no matter how big or small your army is, as long as you have or believe in Yahweh, you'll always win.
Very good. Yeah,
It's true.
that is true. What do you get? You need to take the zinc.
Yeah.
What do you get?
You know, like back in the days, this is like based on the like hundreds, like tens, hundreds or something.
Yeah, it was just about, and during the Maccabees, that was like before the Messiah came to earth. Remember, trying to eliminate the bloodline of Messiah.
Yeah.
That's what the enemy was doing. I mean, it was horrible. This is the same thing that's going to happen during the time of Revelations. So there's reasons why it was taken out. It's funny. It's funny, but not funny. But it's like weird that the rabbis took out this is not canon. But meanwhile, they celebrate Hanukkah. Meanwhile, they read the book of Hanukkah during the time of during Hanukkah time. Why, if it's not canon, why are you reading it? Why is that even in the synagogue?
Yeah.
Right? It was something only for them, so that's why they did it. And in the original King James had it, and a lot of books are getting it back. So, like Isabella said, shows you, no matter what situation, how bad it looks, there's always hope when you have the power of Yahweh on your side.
Yeah.
The chances of you having victory over the enemy and over the world is a lot higher than when you don't have the Father with you. So when I see these stories, because I mean, they were so many different, and here alone in chapter 3, 3 different armies went against them. Right? It's 3 different armies went against them. And that ain't no joke. And each one was worse than the other. And what we got to remember, these people never lost their wars. These were warriors. They took them from a very young age to become warriors. They were training from little kids. And the ones that had it, they kept. The ones that didn't, they kicked out. They were not, it was just the way it was. So you either had it or you didn't. So the enemy tried to use them to get rid of the Maccabees. So here, this is the part where when Judah was called the Maccabean took his place. That's Matthias. Matthias had passed away in chapter 2. So he took over the place. He took over. He was in charge. And he supported, and he was the one that had to carry the war for Israel. Remember, Israel was a farming land, a farming country. They were farm merchants. They were all this, but they were warriors. They were not. They had to become warriors in a hurry, right? It's like when we're told to do something, right? Like for example, Isabella has a voice. She's called, hey, can you sing? Yeah, I'm not ready for it. I'm not prepared for it. I'm nervous about it. Hey, let's roll. We have to be ready. Like they say, hey, we need you to teach. I'm not prepared for, there's been times that I haven't been ready, but hey, Yahweh may Yahweh be the glorious one there, right?
Like anybody could pray and read the word and all that. But that's like when you say, like the brothers tell you, hey, come on down and preach to us. And
You gotta
stuff.
be ready.
Yeah, you gotta be ready.
Be ready for whatever. And just pray at that moment. As you're going to the place, the Yahweh helps you. So they had to arm themselves with weapons of war, and they fought battles and protected the camps with the sword. And they were fighting like lions, accordingly here, and they pursued the lawless and hunt them out. Those lawless were people that didn't care about the Hebrew people. They didn't care about the law. They didn't care about nothing. They pretty much worshiped the enemy when they worshiped these idols. And as such, these people were destroyed with fire. Because the way they did to the Israelites, to all the people, all the Semitic people, it was horrible. And so they were delivered. They had achievement. They had many victories, and they gave joy to Yaakov by his deeds. And in the memories, it was a blessing forever. And this went, and it went about the city of Yada, destroyed by the renegades there, and he truly always wrath from Israel was removed of the ends of the earth. And so here they got together and was giving them battle. All of a sudden we get Apollos. He gathered together the Gentiles along with a large army of Samaritans to fight against Israel. When Judah learned about this, what did he do? He went against them and struck them and killed them. Now, these are more powerful armies that are fighting against the Hebrews. But the Hebrew had Yahweh. And that's what we always have to remember. And these books should be back. And all the books and all the scriptures, all of them should be back. Because Martin Luther is not Yahweh. And he had no right to take these books out. These books would have been very good for all of us. So he killed him and he took his sword and he fought with his sword for the rest of his life. Now another guy heard that what happened to him. So he's a Syrian and he said, you know what? I'm going to muster up an army and I'm going to make a name for myself and we're going to go beat them down because for myself and win honor and the kingdom, and I will wage war against Judah, Yada, and Lord whoever's, and follow who has despised the king's command, and against a large army, a large company of renegades advanced with him to help him take revenge on the Israelites. That's what he thought. But what happened? We go that he went out to meet them, but when they saw the army, then they said to Judah, how can we, so few, fight such a strong army? These people are gonna beat us down. We're not that many. And plus, I think here they have not eaten, right? If I remember correctly. So many are easily hemmed in by the few. And in the sight of Yahweh, there is no difference between deliverance by many or by few. For victory in war does not depend upon the size of the army, but of the strength that comes from, where does strength come from? Yahweh, right? So that was very important. So they went against these people, and when they went against them, they were able to crush them. They were able to beat them. Now, if you see that in front of your eyes, I mean, you're like, whoa, this is amazing. This one should be changed, that battery.
Dad, pay attention.
Okay? Change that battery right there. So,
Right.
so here we go. Now, the Gentiles started getting scared, and they're like, whoa, these people are really tougher than we thought.
Yeah.
And so now the king,
Mommy, bring me the battery back.
the king over here,
Back.
strategy. The king's strategy, when the king Artarchus heard this, he was 50. He was so mad. And he said, okay, he ordered all his forces, everyone, to come over there, no matter who came, come over. He paid everybody a year's salary to beat the Israelites. No matter what, we're going to beat them. We're going to beat them down because of what they have done. But his treasury ran dry, so he had to go to a couple lands and go steal some money from Persia and all these other lands. So he had got together, if I'm not mistaken, he got 40,000 foot soldiers and 7,000 cavalry. Now, cavalry are the people that fight with the horses, and they got these swords, and they do a lot of destruction, right? So here, so they're prepared for battle, and foot soldiers they call them, and 7,000 cavalry to invade and ravage the land of Judah. Now, they wanted to take over, kill. Now, they already have planned everything out. They said, okay, this land's going to go here to this person's, and this land's going to go to this person. This land's going to be to these people. So what they do, right, one of the strategies they used to do was kill everybody or make them into slaves. And then they would bring in their own people, say, come over here, and we're going to give you free land.
Basically, what
replacement.
Israel is doing right now.
Right, replacement.
They offer birthright trips so free, and they pay for all the birthright trips for
Right.
people to go visit Israel.
Yeah.
For
So
free.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do my birthright too, so I could get a free trip. And you too. We all gonna go get a free trip over and find out how to beat them. All right. So, and here what they're doing is, so they're gonna replace the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the same plan that's happening today. They want to do the 2025 is to replace all people that are half color and just replace them with all white people. That's part of the plan of 2025, which is not gonna work. It's gonna backfire so bad.
Right.
Right? So, part of it, and so they had all of these plans, all these strategies, everything planned it out. So they were gonna create a whole new people. So Judah and his brothers saw the evil had multiplied, and that the armies were encamped within their territory, and they learned of the order which the king had given to destroy, utterly wipe out the people. No more Israelites. No Messiah. Remember, the Messiah had to come from King David's bloodline. Had to. So they went and started a big war. So The assemblies gather together for battle, and they pray. See that? They pray for mercy and compassion. Jerusalem was uninhabitable. Not one of the children came out. Went in or came out. The sanctuary was trampled on. The foreigners were in the citadel. And it was inhabited by pagans, the Gentiles. Though the assemblies and went out and they went to fight, they were, and then the pagans, they're worshiping to their idols. Pretty much the enemy. The enemy has no power when Yahweh talks. The enemy has to bow to Yahweh and Yeshua because he truly had no real power. And they're praying to their thing and doing all these things to their deity, not understanding that they have nothing. And then the Israelites, they cried out to Yahweh, what shall we do? What should we do with these? Where are we taking them? For your sanctuary has been trampled down and profiled, and your preachers are immortal and humble. Now the Gentiles are gathering together to destroy us. You know what they plot against us. Now think about that. Maybe you have 10,000, 15,000 men by that time of Israelites that know how to fight. And you're facing 47,000 people, which is not an easy thing to do, right? So what they did, they prayed together, they got together, they cried out. And when they cried out to Yahweh, guess what happened? Yahweh gave them the victory, right? Because the Gentile who have assembled against us to destroy us in our sanctuary, it's better for us to die in battle than to witness the evil befall of our nation in our sanctuary. And whatever is the will of Yahweh will be done. Hallelujah. All right. Let's go to chapter 4. 61 verse.
Okay. So 30 and 31.
Okay. Victory over Gorgias. Now Gorgias took 5,000 infantry and 1,000 picked cavalry, and this detachment set out at night in order to fall upon the camp of the Jews in a surprise attack. Some from the citadel were his guides. Judas heard of it and himself set out with his soldiers to attack the king's army at Emmaus. While these forces were still scattered away from the camp, during the night Gorgias came into the camp of Judas and found no one there, so he sought them in the mountains, saying, "They are fleeing from us." But at daybreak Judas appeared in the plain with 3,000 men. Furthermore, they lacked the helmets and swords they wanted. They saw the army of the Gentiles, strong, breastplated, and flanked with cavalry and made up of experienced soldiers. Judas said to the men with him, "Do not fear their numbers or dread their attack. Remember how our ancestors were saved in the Red Sea when Pharaoh pursued them with an army. So now let us cry to heaven in the hope that
Cry
he will..."
to Yahweh. Whatever you see, her heaven.
I know, I forget. Okay. Yeah. Cry to Yahweh in the hope that he will favor us. Remember the covenant with our ancestors and destroy the army before us today. All the Gentiles shall know that there is one who redeems and delivers Israel. When the foreigners looked up and saw them marching toward them, They came out of their camp for battle. The men with Judas blew the trumpet and joined the battle. They crushed the Gentiles who fled toward the plain, and their whole rear guard fell by the sword. And they were pursued as far as Gazara, in the plains of Idumea, to Zotus and Jamnia.
Now, let me stop you there. Just a few verses before that, they were crying out. They were scared. There was no way, no how. And Judah secured them. Don't even trip. We got this. And now you see them afterwards. They're chasing them, chasing the pagans, because Yahweh gave them victory. Because the Malachim of Yahweh, what the world called angels, was there helping them win the battle. Okay, sister.
About 3,000 of their men fell. When Judas and the army returned from the pursuit, he said to the people, "Do not be greedy for plunder, for there is a fight ahead of us. And Georgius and his army are near us on the mountain. But now stand firm against our enemies and fight them. Afterward, you can freely take the plunder." As Judas was finishing the speech, a detachment appeared looking down from the mountain. They saw that their army had been put to flight and their camp were burning. The smoke they saw revealed what had happened. When they realized this, they completely lost heart, and when they also saw the army of Judas in the plain ready to attack, they all fled to the land of the foreigners. Then Judas went back to plunder the camp, and they took too much gold and silver, cloth dyed blue and marine purple, and great treasure. As they returned, they were singing hymns and glorifying heaven, who is good.
Glorify Yahweh.
Yahweh, who is good, whose mercy endures forever. Thus Israel experienced a great deliverance that day, victory over Lysias. But those of all the foreigners who had escaped went and told Lysias all that had occurred. When he heard it, he was disturbed and discouraged, because things had not turned out in Israel as he intended and as the king had ordered. So the following year he gathered together 60,000 picked men and 5,000 cavalry to fight them. They came to Idumea and camped at Bethser, and Judas met them with 10,000 men. Seeing the army was strong, he prayed thus: "Blessed are you, Savior of Israel, who crushed the attack of the mighty one by the hand of your servant David, delivered the foreign camp into the hand of Jonathan, the son of Shaul, and his arm bearer. Give his army into the hands of your people, Israel. Make them ashamed of their troops and their cavalry."
Hallelujah.
32.
Praise Yahweh. Look at that. So let me get this part out of the way. As you can see, and like I was saying, they thought they were going to get beat down. Not Judah of Maccabees. He never thought that for 1 second.
Yeah.
This guy had a confidence like nobody been him. And I would imagine he had other men too with him. But normally, any human being that's got 10, 50, even 20,000 is looking at 47,000 people. There is no way you got confidence unless you are a Yahweh believing person and you believe with all your heart. And let me tell you, there was a lot of praying that time. When you see that many people, and they got horses, and they really knew how to fight. They never lost a war. They beat the mighty Egyptians. They beat everybody. Anybody they fought. And then you a farmer, a warrior farmer, and you're going to beat them? It's not possible. Not in real life. Not in real life. It's only possible if you have Yahweh with you. That's it. It's the only way. Because Yahweh helps you to fight your battles. And all of us are witness to many of these battles in life. So let's trust in Yahweh and not trust in the world. So that's why they had the victory, because they went through with it, even though many of them were scared to death. But Yahweh also pushed fear in a lot of those men to run for the hills. Right? That's Yahweh, because they see these men were not. They were so brave to fight these many men. So that's why we have to always trust in Yahweh. All right, sister. 33 is that far?
32.
All right.
Strike them with cowardice, weaken the boldness of their strength, and let them tremble at their own destruction. Strike them down by the sword of those who love you, that all who know your name may sing your praise. Then they engaged in battle, and about 5,000 of Lysia's army fell in the hand-to-hand fighting. When Lysia saw the tide of the battle turning and the increased boldness of Judas, those men were ready to either to live or to die nobly. He withdrew to Antioch and began to recruit mercenaries so as to return to Judea with great numbers.
Missionaries are people that fight for money.
Okay.
Whoever pays the most money is the one they work for. They don't care who they fight for.
Purification and rededication of the temple. Then Judah and his brothers said, "Now that our enemies have been crushed, let us go up to purify the sanctuary and rededication it." So the whole army assembled and went up to Mount Zion. They found the sanctuary desolate, the altar desecrated, the gates burnt, weeds growing in the courts as in a thicket or on some mountains, and the priest chambers demolished. Then they tore their garments and made great lamentation. They sprinkled their heads with ashes and prostrated themselves. And when the signal was given with trumpets, they cried out to heaven.
Yahweh.
To Yahweh.
Whenever you see the word heaven
It's Yahweh.
and the Maccabees, it's always Yahweh.
Okay. Judas appointed men to take those in the citadel. When he purified the sanctuary, he chose blameless priests devoted to the law, and these purified the sanctuary and carried away the stones of the defilement to an unclean place. They deliberated what ought to be done with the altar for burnt offerings. That had been desecrated. They decided it's best to tear it down, lest it be a lasting shame to them that the Gentiles had defiled it. So they tore down the altar. They stored the stones in a suitable place on the Temple Mount until the coming of a prophet who been determined that what to do with them. Then they took uncut stones according to the law and built a new altar like the former one. They also They also repaired the sanctuary and the interior of the temple and consecrated the courts. They made new sacred vessels and brought the lampstand, the altar of incense, and the table into the temple. Then they burned incense on the altar and lighted the lamps on the lampstand and temple. Illuminated the temple. They also put loaves on the table and hung up the curtains. Thus they finished all the work they had undertaken. They rose early on the morning of the 25th day of the ninth month. That is the month of Kislev, in the year 148. And offer the sacrifice according to the law on the new altar for burnt offerings that they had made. On the anniversary of the day on which the Gentiles had desecrated it, on that very day, it was rededicated with songs, harp, lyres, and cymbals. All the people prostrated themselves and adored and praised to Yahweh, who had given them success. For 8 days they celebrated the dedication of the altar and joyfully offered burnt offerings and sacrifices of deliverance and praise. They ornamented the facade of the temple with gold crowns and shields. They repaired the gates and the priests' chambers and furnished. Then with the doors there was great joy among the people now that this disgrace brought by the Gentiles was removed. Then Judas and his brothers and the entire assembly of Israel decreed that every year for 8 days,
Yeah.
from the 25th day of the month, Kislev, the days of the dedication of the altar, should be observed with joy and gladness on the anniversary. At that time, they built high walls and strong towers around Mount Zion to prevent the Gentiles from the coming, and the altar, as it is that they had done before. Judas also placed a garrison there to protect it, and likewise fortified Benzer, that the people might have a stronghold facing Idumea. Hallelujah.
Idumea. Bless you. Yeah, these are some long chapters. 60, 65, 70.
Yeah.
The good
61.
thing that chapter 5 is only... oh. Wait, chapter 5 is actually 68 verses.
Damn.
Let me make sure of that. But chapter 5 is 68 verses. That's for tomorrow. I just want to make sure.
Your daughter, she's on water.
I know. She could wait. She don't need water.
Yeah.
Go lay down. Come on. Let's go. Go lay down. Go. Go lay down.
Yeah, 68 verses. So here, this part, the sister was reading over here. It's just amazing how they found the congregation so destroyed by these pagan foreigners. You know what I mean? And the sanctuary and the walls and the court and the outer building to be destroyed from the temple. It was just destroyed. So let me get over here, people, because I'm right here. So here comes, this is what we get after he destroyed the pagans, after everything was done. Now, here comes the good part. Because the only thing we've been getting is a lot of bad fighting, right? We're getting all these wars. One army he beats. Now you got to fight another army. Now you got to fight. I mean, come on. That is so much stress on anybody, right? As a human being. So, as such, so now they were able to beat these people. And so now it comes the purification and the rededication of the house of Yahweh. Very important about one thing about this. They had to clean it out totally. And now that Judah and his brothers said, now that our enemies have been crushed they were, let us go up to purify the sanctuary. And it ain't like you just got to do a little cleaning here. They got to clean everything from all this pig blood. And they were sacrificing every kind of animal. I think they even sacrificed children, from what I gather, like when you read between the lines. And they used it as a house of prostitution, and they did everything there. So, so they went and so the whole army assembled and went up to Mount Zion, and they found the sanctuary desolated, the altar desecrated, the gates burnt, weeds growing in the courts as in a thicker of the mountains. Like if it was in the mountains, like the priest's chambers demolished. They're like, these pagans hated anything that had to do with Yahweh, to the point where they just demolished, no priesthood here. So they demolished everything. And then they tore down their clothes and they made great lamentation. Lamentation, and this way, like they really cried out with a real broken heart, like really crying out of their heart. And they even put ashes on their head. They prostrate themselves. They got on their knees, and even was given, when the sign was given with trumpets, they cried out to Yahweh. But that's who we cry to, right? When things are bad, right, for us? Yeah, we cry out to Yahweh. Why do we cry out to Yahweh? Because he's the only one that could save us from the enemy, right? So here comes Judah, and he said, okay, I appoint man to attack those in the citadel, Citadel was still not completely done. They have finished. They did like 99% of the job. Still, they had to get the citadel cleaned out. Why? He purified the sanctuary. He chose blameless priests devoted to the law, and those purifying the sanctuary, and to carry out the stones of defiled stones have been unclean with dirty pig's blood. Ugh, that's so disgusting. And they went out to be. They had to go out to do this job, and with the altar for burning offering, they had been just desecrated, and they declared it to the best to tear it down. So they tore everything down. Then the Gentiles had defiled, so they tore it down, and then the stones and everything. They just like until it came until the coming of a prophet who could determine what to do with them. And then they took uncut stones according to the laws and built a new altar like the former one, and they repaired the sanctuary, and what they did was rededicate. They made the whole thing new. Mm-hmm. This is the house of Yahweh. We're gonna make it the way it was. We're gonna clean it. We're gonna take all the defile, all the abominations that they here out of here, and we're gonna pray out that this whole thing is clean and is rededicated to Yahweh. That's why what the word Hanukkah means, rededication. That's what it means. It doesn't mean lights or the Feast of Lights, all that. It don't mean that. It means rededication. I don't know when they put in the Feast of Light. I have to find out because I don't see nothing about lights here, from what I can tell. So they made new sanctuary, sacred vessels, cups, and they brought the lampstand, which is the menorah, 7-candle menorah, not the 9-candle. That was made up. We don't go by that at all. And the
What's
table.
The difference between the 9 and the other one?
The 9 was made up. It's not Yahweh's menorah. Yahweh said make a menorah of 7 candles. Oh. Remember, 7 is Yahweh's number. There's even the rainbow has 7 colors, right? Mm-hmm. So 7 is a perfect number. 7 days, 7 feasts, right? There's 7 official feasts, and then plus 1, which is Hanukkah, which was instituted later because all of this happened way later, not when Moses was there or the other prophets or Samuel or anyone like that. But this is a later time. This is like 500 years. It all depends who you believe before the Messiah was to be born. Mm-hmm. So they had to put new curtains. They had to put everything. They had to start out from the beginning. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Let's do this. That. And we're gonna. No, I don't read it no more. I used to be able to read it. Let me see some. Let me see. All right. Watch this. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read 52 in English. There, man. I can read.
Day rosely on the morning of the 25th day of the 9th month, that is, the month of Kislev, in the year 148, ثلاثة and offered sacrifice according to the law on the new altar for burnt offerings that they had made. أربعة on the anniversary of the
Okay.
day.
Never. That's like English with an Aramaic accent, right? But so this was celebrated. Actually, Hanukkah was celebrated on the 25th of the 9th month, which is the 9th month, according to the Gregorian calendar.
September.
Huh?
September?
December.
September.
No.
I don't know.
December.
December. Because if it
December
starts...
of what? Today, yesterday.
December, because it starts in March. If we to March 14, let's say March, and then it goes to December, that's 9 months. So Hanukkah should be during this time. December 25th, it says here. So they wrote early in the morning, and the 25th day of the 9th month, that is, I don't know about this day. I think that month they used there, it could be related to pagan thing. But anyway, so this is when Hanukkah was put into, they have burning offering. According to the law, the new altar was put up. It was the anniversary day on which the Gentiles have been defeated. They've been eliminated from them, and they got on their knees and they adored and they praised Yahweh, and he gave them success. For 8 days they celebrated this thing. It was during the same time during Sukkot, and then they have burnt offerings and the deliverings and praise, and they ordained. They fixed up the congregation with gold and all kinds of beautiful stuff. The gates were all repaired, and all of this was done to glorify Yahweh because of all the disgrace that the Gentiles had brought to them, to Yada. And then the Judah and his brothers and the entire assembly, they praised Yahweh and decreed that every year for 8 days from the 25th of that month until the day of dedication, the altar should be observed with joy and gladness. Hallelujah. So that's part 2 of Hanukkah. This is chapter 4. We're going to go on chapter 5 next. I hope you enjoyed it. Yahweh bless you, protect you, and be with you in Yeshua's mighty name. Let it be so. Hallelujah. Shalom. Happy Hanukkah.